Next, we're going to take a look at the cardiovascular system, and this system deals with how how the body will change as it ages, to do with the heart and blood vessels and things like that. So the heart, to begin with, as it gets older, like a lot of other things, it loses strength, like similar to muscles, because it is a muscle, which means that the contractions would not be as strong and as firm as when the heart is younger, which means that the beats per minute would be a lot higher than what they were when they were younger, because stroke volume would be a lot lower because the contractions are not as strong. The heart itself gets smaller because it's doesn't have as much muscle, and dystrophy would occur in the heart. Blood vessels also um, are part of aging as well, and some arteries can become more narrow, and blood flow can decrease in the and cause arteriosclerosis, um, which means that the artery is narrowed and is not as usable as before, because debris blocks the vessels or starts covering different parts of the lumen, which causes it to be harder for blood to get through, which would in turn increase blood pressure. And something else that would increase blood pressure as well is that as we age, our blood vessels become less elasticated, which means that they don't stretch as easy, which means blood will be flowing at a higher pressure than normal. Also, back to the heart as well. The heart wall will thicken, which could take up more space, so the heart gets bigger. The heart may also beat in abnormal rhythms, which is or arrhythmias, and this is more common in the older people. And there's also less fluid in the bloodstream, which means that blood volume and hemoglobin levels will decrease. And also, the SA node in the heart, it loses a lot of cells, which reduces the heart rate with age, and less blood flow will flow around the body during exercise, um, and which means that heart rate will be a lot slower. Also, cognitive function will be um, affected as well. With age, there's vascular dysfunction, and this means that carrying the baroreceptors and other receptors would work at different rates that they used to, which means that the messages or impulses being sent to the brain and to the heart will be slower, and the heart and the brain may not work as well together, which means that heart rate may be slower and the body may not be working as efficiently as it used to be. Now we're going to take a look at the endocrine system, and we talked a little bit about HGH earlier when talking about the muscular system. And this HGH is produced, human growth hormone is produced in the pituitary gland, which slows as we age, and that will control, well, not control, but will aid muscle and bone mass. And this decreases as we get older, which means that our muscles and our bone mass will also decrease alongside of it as we get older, which obviously in turn could affect the whole muscular system in general. So our contractions would be a lot less powerful than they used to be. Also, testosterone levels lower in males, especially, and males can lose up to 20% when you're into your 30s of your testosterone normal levels, which means that similar to the HGH, um, that you will not be able to build muscle easily. And your bone density may be low because the function of testosterone is to manufacture red blood cells, which means that your red blood cell count may be lower, and also you'd have an increase in body fat. Also, estrogen levels will be affected with age, which for females is very important as it is a female sex hormone. And it also can be linked to menopause, and in the UK, the average age at which women go through menopause is 51 years old. And this is because women's life expectancy is longer, and now they expect to spend about a third of their lives in the post-menopause stage. During menopause, normally a woman may still have go through their menstrual cycles, but there'll be no egg that's released from the ovaries more regularly, and the levels of the female hormone estrogen may fluctuate almost daily around the time of the menopause, and women's periods tend to stop due to the consistency of low levels of estrogen. Also, cortisol is very necessary in the body, and as we age, levels of cortisol also decreases. And cortisol is a steroid hormone which regulates a wide range of processes throughout the body that include metabolism, and the immune response, which is like a stress response hormone as well. And this could cause a decrease in the blood level, and it could also slow down metabolism quite a lot, which may increase the body's body fat percentage. And that would increase just general stress on the body also, which triggers even more cortisol, and if that's not there, that could be very bad for the body. Also, the thyroid gland is involved in this metabolism of cortisol, so this slows down the rate at which it produces the hormones, which could then also affect metabolism, and it starts to slow down at 20 onwards from the thyroid gland. Aging also has a major impact on health in general and also performance. It can affect our body mass as we get older. Yes, our bones become more brittle and not as much muscle is being produced and used, but also we do put on quite a lot of body fat, which is normally to do with hormone levels being a lot lower than they used to be, and also our metabolism being quite low, causing our body to put on a lot of weight, which means our BMR would go up, and also our energy expenditure would go up as we have to deal with the fat a lot more. This would affect how quickly our body could move, and when thinking about sport, things would not be as quick. We would not be as quickly responsive or as strong as we normally would be, because we'd have to deal with a lot more body fat and a lot less muscle as we age. Also, thermoregulation can be can change as we age, and as we get older, we become more heat tolerant or cold tolerant, so we feel a lot more, feel the cold a lot easier, and that's just to do with our sweating mechanism and how we deal with the cold. And older people tend to sweat a lot quicker and a lot easier, and also feel cold a lot easier as well. That's because our sensory sensory glands would be a lot more responsive than they used to be, and our sensory receptors would be a lot more um, responsive than they would be before. Also, there are other things that will be affected, such as motor skills, how fast the body recovers, our anaerobic capacity, our aerobic capacity, and counter-aging strategies are another thing that I'd like to look at. So when looking at motor skills, our neurons do slow down quite a lot because some of them even die completely, and they also work at a slower rate than they used to before, which means our responses would be a lot slower, and the message would get to the brain a lot slower, and then the action that's carried out afterwards would be a lot slower as well. So all the neurons would affect our motor skills, which could make us less, make our coordination not as effective. Also, if we get injured, our body takes quite a long while to respond and recover itself and repair. That's because lower protein levels as we age. Also, our anaerobic capacity will go down and aerobic capacity will go down because our body will not be able to function as it used to. Just generally, when looking at the respiratory muscular system and skeletal system combined and the endocrine system combined, our body won't be able to work at these capacities like they used to before, which could affect us in the sporting world. That's why older athletes tend to start getting a lot slower as they age. Once they pass their 30s, 40s, they don't get the same results they used to. There are some counter-aging strategies that help, which is staying fit even though you're aging doesn't mean that you stop exercise completely, but we can't get it back to the level we were when you're younger, but it does slow down. We can slow down the process a bit or speed it up, and we can speed it up by being inactive, eating unhealthily, and being quite sedentary with our lifestyle. But we can slow it down quite a lot if we stay active and eat the right things and take care of our bodies quite well, and could help to slow it down as quickly as possible.